Welcome to my first lesson on Blackboard, and today we're going to do section 4.3 from your book. The last time we were together I did 4.1 and 4.2. That was on March 11th. In that we looked at different ways you could look at numbers, Roman numerals, Egyptian numbers, and then we did different bases. We did the Babylonian, which was base 60, and our expanded out base 10. So those of you that weren't there are going to have to know this for the test. So make sure that you look at the PowerPoint slides and practice that before you take the test. Okay, so we're looking at different place values here. So what we call our base system is base 10. So starting at the right is 10 to the 0, 10 to the first, 10 to the second, 10 to the third, 10 to the fourth. For the Babylonian, which we looked at, as I said, on March 11th, was 60 to the 0, 60 to the 1, 60 to the second, and the numbers would get really, really large after that. So those are called the bases. It could be any number is the base, any number, and starting at the right always is going to be the ones column because that's going to be the base to the 0, whatever the base is to the first, to the second, to the third. So I always start to the right so that you make sure that you get the 0 column. So for example, base 8, starting at the right is 8 to the 0, 8 to the first, 8 to the second. And for base 2, 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1, 2 to the 2, no matter what the base. So the only thing that's changing is the base number. The exponents are all staying the same. So base 2 is used largely in computers, and the only digits are zeros and ones, and it's either on or off is how it works, and all data is can be put into what's called a bit. Base 8 is 8 bits, and that's 1 byte, and that's how they get the letters, and they change things that we type from binary code, from the letters into binary. And base 16, I'm sure you've seen, and that's used in computer language. I'm sure you use the HTML, a lot of things done on the internet, and the web pages are using base 16. Okay, so the place values, depending on what the base is, so if it's base 6, it can only use 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no 6. For base 8, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's always one number less than what the base is, okay? So like base 5 would only use 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There would be no 5, because then you would go to the next column. So 1, 2, 3 base 5 represents a number, and 1, 2, 3 base 6 represents a totally different number. Okay, so it's not the same as 123, which is base 10. Okay, so normally we would write it without the subscript. If it doesn't have a subscript, that means it's base 10. If it has a subscript, that's the base that it's in. So let's do a couple examples. So I'm going to do the one that was on the page before, which was the 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to do, okay, so let's say I had the number. Okay, so let's say I had the number 1, 2, 3, base 5. And it said convert it to base 10. Okay, so this is going to be the 5 to the 0 column. This is the 5 to the first, and this is the 5 to the second. So I would do, all right, so that's 1 times 5 to the second plus 2 times 5 to the first plus 3 times 5 to the 0. So then I'm going to calculate. Okay, so 5 to the second is 25, so I have one of those. 5 to the first is 5, so I've got two of those, that's 10. And anything to the 0 power is always 1, so this would be 3 times 1, which is 3. So this is going to be 38. So 1, 2, 3 base 5 is equal to 38 base 10. Okay, so let's look at another example. Let's take the same number, that 1, 2, 3, base 6 and see what it's equal to in base 10. So again, this is the 6 to the 0, this is the 6 to the first, this is the 6 to the second. So I would always start on the right so that you make sure you have that 0 column. So this would be 1 times 6 to the second plus 2 times 6 to the first plus 3 times 6 to the 0. So 6 to the second is 36, 6 squared, so that's, we only have one of those, so that's 36. 2 times 6 is 12. And again, anything to the 0 is 1, so that's just 3 times 1, which is 3. So when I add that all up, I get 51. So 1, 2, 3 base 5 was 38. 1, 2, 3 base 6 was 51. So it depends on what the base is, what the number is going to be equal to. Okay, so let's try one more example. So this time I'm going to do base 2. So I'm going to do 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, base 2. Okay, so again, this is going to be 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1, 2 squared, 2 to the third, 2 to the fourth. So I'm going to do 1 times 2 to the fourth plus 1 times 2 to the third plus 1 times 2 squared plus 0 times 2 to the first plus 1 times 2 to the 0. Okay, so 2 to the fourth is 16, so I got one of those. 2 to the third is 8, I've got one of those. 2 squared is 4, I got one of those. I have nothing here. And then 1 times 1 is just 1. So when I add that all up, I have 16 plus 13, which is going to give me 29. So this is the number 29. Okay? So now this is what I'm going to have you do. I'm going to have you try page 104, try those numbers, and then on the next video, I'll show you how I would have done the answer. So see if you can do it by yourself, and then I'll show you the next video.